Serpent child. I remember a moon after I had been found. I was in my sleep life when something began to call out to me. There was a loud cry, and when I opened my eyes, it was still there, out of my sleep life into my awake life. I jumped to my feet and leaped over the other four who were asleep with me. Without waiting, I dashed out of the hut. Before I realized it, I was running through a shishta, kind of blanketing cover, of light. The village air had become a slow, consistent, bright blur against the black-blue painted night sky. It was as if each beam of light held within it its own individual life separate from the others. Standing there, enamored by the display of lights, I had forgotten about the sound that had awakened me until another loud cry pierced my ears. I was able to hear its direction now. I started to push and run my way through the living light air, or La, finding myself closer and closer to the sound. Soon, I began to see leafy greens of the bush appear through the La, and I came to a stop. Reaching out my hands to feel my way through the bush, I started walking. I couldn't tell how far I walked, but once the loud cry was clear, I knew whatever made it was within my reach. I closed my eyes and focused on the sound. It sounded like it was beneath me, and I wondered if it could be the earth making this loud cry. I got on my hands and knees, falling to the earth to feel my way across its surface, trying to discover what it was, big or small, that made the sound. My hands felt a dip in the layers of earth, and as I edged closer to it, I knew that whatever was making the sound was in this hole. Now that I found the source, there was only one thing left to do. I stood up and tried to peer down into the hole with no success. I was still surrounded by the La. I reached my hand towards the light and felt many small, warm bodies. I slowly closed my hand around some and knelt down to the edge of the hole. Reaching into it, I opened my hand and the La rose from it back into the rest of the light above. That wouldn't be enough, I needed more. So I stood back up and took off my shishta. With one great swoop, I collected much of the La. A small hole appeared in the La, giving me a glimpse of the hole on the earth. Without waiting, I jumped towards it. It wasn't a big hole, I discovered once I landed inside. With my shishta filled with La, I could see clearly and figured that any beast or person my size could easily climb out of the hole. I looked around, running my eyes over everything. Empty? Empty? I said to myself. The sound had stopped, and there was nothing else I could see in the hole. I felt something brush against my leg. Thinking it was the La escaping my shishta, I ignored it, moving it to my other shoulder. I didn't know the earth could make such strange noises. I'd have to ask the elders in the village how such a loud cry could be made by the earth in the dark of nothingness. I was somewhat satisfied with what I found, and with my shishta full of La, I began to climb out of the hole. Just then, something got a hold of my leg as I climbed, and I knew it to be too soft for it to be a root, yet too cold to be my shishta. I let go of the earth and fell back into the hole. This time my shishta hit the bottom before me, and light scattered throughout the hole, illuminating, lighting, everything. My eyes wide, I waited to see what kind of cold, slithery serpent stalked me. But to my surprise, there was a small boy standing there looking at me. He was much smaller in size and didn't look as if he lived past as many moons as I had. But by his eyes, I knew he was lost and alone, like I had been. I smiled at him as the last of the light began to leave the hole, and slowly began to laugh after I noticed that the serpent I thought to be stalking me was actually a child. I moved towards him and pointed to my back, then to the top of the hole. He understood as his smile told me, and he climbed onto my back. I picked up my shishta and wrapped it around us both tightly. Looking up to the La, I climbed out of the hole. Upon seeing the La, the small boy began to babble on in some unknown tongue. I laughed, still treasuring the moment my serpent turned into a child. He seemed restless as he tried to make me understand what he was communicating. I stopped walking and said, "Serpent child." He grew quiet, so I let him off my back and wrapped my shishta around me. I poked him, looking into his eyes, and said, "Serpent child." He smiled, tugged on my leg, and said, "Yeel crad." I smiled and picked him up in my arms and continued our walk back to the village. When we arrived at the village, many elders were awake, walking around, pushing the law with huge flats of wood and leaf. In a short distance, I could see 4 small figures rushing towards me. I noticed them as Katal, Quenair, Jahajaku, and Masinda, the sleeping bodies I had leapt over when I was awakened. They were shouting, "Vinusha, Vinusha. Look there, elders, it's Vinusha." The elders stopped what they were doing and looked at me approaching. With the wood and leaf flats in hand, they began to make a way to me through the law. Not only was it the elders who began to approach me, at the shouting of my name, the other villages awoke and came out of their huts. "Who is that you carry with you, Vinusha?" asked Knowledge, one of the elders. "Serpent child," I said, poking out my chest and showing my teeth. I then began to explain to Knowledge and all those around of how I heard the sound in my sleep life and awake life following it to this child. I told them of how I used the law and how I named the child, and he named me. "Vinusha," said Knowledge. "The air is living, but the light is no air. It is a small beast of the night which flies, brethren of the flying beast of the day sky. These night beasts have much more lives around themselves." He stopped for a moment and looked up, pointing to the sky. "Vinusha," he said. "Vinusha, you have a name, it will change. Such is the way of the village. Your serpent child shall receive a village name as well. You have much moons to see." I came to understand that different names were given to a person throughout their life, changing according to one's actions, movements, features, who they were in and of themselves, and many other things. Still, to me, Serpent Child would forever be my Serpent Child, and I his Jewel Crad.